Back in front of the post for the first race here this evening. Win Place Show exacta trifecta first half of the early daily double, a field of 10, no changes. The one is Sand Flying Dragon, owned by Michael Wetter of Middletown, Ohio, trained and driven by Jack Daly. Number 2 is Nick Kress, owned by Ida Hardman of Delaware, Ohio, trained by Frenchie Fuller with Jim Daly up. Number 3 is Positive Scooter. My Bud Light long shot of the night is owned by Marvin Godown of Greenville, Ohio, trained and driven by the K-Man, Kane Kaufman. Number 4 is Gitano, owned by the Big Cat Stable of Bradford, Ohio, trained by Steve Livingston. Dave Hawk is up. Number 5 is Playboy SAHBRA, owned by Charles and Christine Blankenship of Asheville, Ohio, trained by Mike Lee, Danny Noble. Number 6 is Chocolate Chip. This is Scott Piney's Bud Light long shot of the night, owned by Harry and Iris Horowitz of Brooklyn, New York, trained by Tim Rucker, Sam Chipnoble III. Number 7 is Hot Rod Jack. The lessee is also the trainer and driver, Jack Franklin of Xenia, Ohio. The 8 is This Old Art of Mine, owned by Reed Racing of the big city of Newark, Ohio, trained and driven by Dean Collins. On the outside of the 9 is BESTCAM Dragon, owned by Dennis Hearns of Columbus, Ohio, trained and driven by Bob Harper. And scoring from off the second tier is number 10, VINCELO HANOVER, owned by Carl Mayberry Jr. of Alexandria, Kentucky, trained by George Owens. Jason Brewer is in the sulky. That's the field for the first race. Field in motion, break the 10, VINCELO HANOVER before the start. They're all fan pacing and firing away for the lead. Middle of the track, there goes the 4, Gitano, and Dave Hawk is headed straight for command. From the inside, there is Sand Flying Dragon. Driving up the middle of the track, that is the 5, Playboy SAHBRA. Way in 4th is Nick Kress. Dropping in, racing in 5, This Old Art of Mine. 6th on the inside, Positive Scooter. 7th, that is Chocolate Chimp. 8th, that is Hot Rod Jack. 9th on the inside, BESTCAM Dragon. And 10th in trailing the field after the early miscue is VINCELO HANOVER as they wheel by the opening quarter in 27 and 3/5. And now stepping up on the outside, Sand Flying Dragon and Jack Daly to the front end here. To the inside, Gitano and Dave Hawk will yield for a garden spot in 2. Playboy SAHBRA to the inside is 3rd. Nick Kress races in 4th. First over the outside, racing in 5 there. That is This Old Art of Mine. And snagging that cover, this is Positive Scooter to the outside. A swing to the inside there, Hot Rod Jack. Up on the outside, 4th over there, that is Chocolate Chip. And then the 2 trailers are BESTCAM Dragon and VINCELO HANOVER. They're halfway home in 57 and 2/5. A second panel at 29 and 4. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4. And on top of the field, Sand Flying Dragon with the lead here. Playboy SAHBRA is drawn alongside in 2nd. Then there's a gap of 4 lengths. First over the outside in 3rd. That is BESTCAM Dragon. Positive Scooter is following that one. 3 high from there is Chocolate Chip. And BESTCAM Dragon is getting into it from the back of the pack. And Gitano is backing through the field. 3/4 and 1:25 and 1/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. And to the outside now with the lead. That is Playboy SAHBRA. To the inside, Sand Flying Dragon. Ready to swing 3 high for the stretch drive. This Old Art of Mine. Off the turn and less than an 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. Now striking the front. Playboy SAHBRA to the outside. This Old Art of Mine. Here's Positive Scooter as they drive to the wire. This Old Art of Mine is getting up. Second of the mile was the 3, Positive Scooter. It was very close for 3rd. May have been the 1, Sand Flying Dragon over the 5-horse Playboy SAHBRA. The top of the mile, 1:54, 3/5. This Old Art of Mine in a new lifetime mark. Trackside of the winner's circle, the unofficial winner of the first race from post 8. Here's the 8, This Old Art of Mine. Home in a new lifetime mark, 1:54 and 3/5. A 6-year-old bay gelding by world champion Arts Place out of This Old Heart of Mine. She by Dragon's Lair. Is owned by Reed Racing of the big city of Newark, Ohio. Nicely trained and driven by Dean Collins. Picking up the 4th win in 2003, the 8, This Old Art of Mine, 1:54 and 3, new lifetime mark. $8,315 is now official. 8-3 exacta, 86.60, 831 try, 375 even. Horses are on the track and printing the post behind outrider Kathy Hawk for this evening's second race. Conditioned race of 1 mile, a pace of 1 mile, a purse of $4,200. Win, place, show, exacta, trifecta wagering, a field of 8, no changes. The 1 is All Shade, owned by Brighton Baugh, Diamond Chimp Stable, and Mogan. They're all of the Buckeye State, trained by Scott Mogan, Sam Chipnoble III. Number 2 is House of Sam, owned by Patricia Soulsby of Powell, trained and driven by Rick Shout. Number 3 is Nice Connection, owned by John Wiley of Richwood, Ohio, trained and driven by Bob Harper. Number 4 is Arts Tiger, owned by Winners, Bean and Clarkson. They're all of Ohio, trained and driven by Mark Winners. Number 5 is Fearless SAHBRA, owned by Amabel Patel, Springfield, Ohio, trained by Mike Lee, Danny Noble. Number 6 is Albion What Punctual, owned by Sears of Deerfield Beach, Florida, and Brody of Hudson, Florida, trained by Kim Sears. Jay Sears is up. The 7 is Rigatores, owned by Melby Phillip Over Jr. of Cable, Ohio, trained by J. Doug Lowe with Jeff Fout. And for the outside of the 8 is Western Intent, owned by the National Trail Investment Company Incorporated of Bean Station, Tennessee, trained by Dan Ader. Kyle Ader is in the sulky. That's the field for the second race. Getting set for a start. They're in the hands of the starter. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the outside. There goes Rigatores, and Rigatores is headed straight for command. Middle of the track, there is Fearless SAHBRA. Driving up from the rail, there is All Shade. Away coming in fourth, that is Nice Connection. Away racing in 5, that is Arts Tiger. 6th on the inside, that is House of Sam. 7th there along the inside is Albion What Punctual. And 8th and trailing the field, that is Western Intent as they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. All Shade is on the move on the outside through an opening quarter of 27 3/5. And All Shade and Chip Noble is placing this one on the front end tier, leading it by a length and a quarter. Rigatores and Jeff Faudo yield for a garden spot, racing in 2. Along the inside, Fearless SAHBRA is racing in 3rd. Shuffled back and forth is Nice Connection. First over on the rim, racing in 5, House of Sam. 6th on the inside, Arts Tiger. A swing to the outside, racing in 7th, that is Albion What Punctual. And 8th and trailing the field, that is Western Intent. As they step around the clubhouse turn, they're at the half in 57 3/5. A well-rated second panel there at 30 seconds flat. Off the turn and driving down the backside, and All Shade with the lead here on top, leading it by a length and a quarter. Rigatores is still right there in the garden spot, nose to helmet, racing in 2. First over on the outside, racing in 3rd, that is House of Sam. Buried at the rail, racing in 4th, that is Fearless SAHBRA. 2nd over the outside there in 5th, that is Albion What Punctual. As they reach the 3/4 mile mark of the race, we've got 4 in and 4 out, 3/4 and 1:26 and 1/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and All Shade with the lead here, and now swung up 3 wide of the outside. Here comes Albion What Punctual, and Western Intent is following that move. Off the turn to the top of Heartbreak Lane, less than an 1/8 of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come, and Albion What Punctual has struck the frontier. Rigatores is coming to him, and Western Intent, but inside the final 16th, Albion What Punctual in front. 2nd of the mile was the 7, Rigatores. 3rd was the 8, Western Intent. The time of the mile, 1:54 4/5. Albion What Punctual with Jay Sears. Trackside of the winner's circle, the winner of the second race, second half of the daily double, timed in 1:54 4/5. Here's the 6, Albion What Punctual, a 4-year-old bay horse by What a Pacer out of an Albion Royal Polkra. She by Royal Brigade, owned by Jay Sears of Deerfield Beach, Florida, George Brody of Hudson, Florida, trained by Kim Sears, nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Jay Sears. Number 6, Albion What Punctual, home winner in 1:54 4/5. The first division of the 3-year-old Colt Pace Ohio Sire Stakes section, the 3rd leg, a pace of 1 mile, a purse of $20,000. Win, place, show, exacta, trifecta wagering, a field of 8, no changes. Presenting the field, the 1 is Infirmerator, owned and trained by Dan Ader of Clarksburg, Ohio. Kyle Ader is at the lines. Number 2 is JACKSBROTHERJOE. The lessee is also the trainer Patrick Landis of Lebanon, Ohio. Jeff Fout is up. Number 3 is Dasher's Boy, owned by Amabel Patel of Springfield, Ohio, trained by Marty Wellam, Danny Noble. Number 4 is Blue Clear Sky, owned by Greg Bucky of Dublin, Ohio, and Benson Roth of New Albany, Ohio, trained by Jim Artledge Jr., Dallas Miller. Number 5 is First Foxy, owned by the White Creek Stable Incorporated of Dublin, Ohio, trained by Ray Paver, Sam Chipnoble III. Number 6 is Rakin' in the Box, owned by Gary Adams of Circleville, Ohio, trained by Jerry Kuchbach, Dave Hawk Gizmo. The 7 is Surf Sam, owned by Balduff, Neck, Oliverio, and Yoder. They're all of the Buckeye State, trained by John Oliverio with Bob Harper. And for the outside at number 8 is JOMARY, owned by Raymond Sines of Perry, Ohio, and Jenny Belcher of Hudson, Ohio, trained by Keith Cash Jr., Greg GRISMORE, Ian the Sulky. Boy, Blue Clear Sky, First Foxy, Rakin' in the Box, Surf Sam, and JOMARY on the outside. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the middle of the track. There goes the 4, Blue Clear Sky, gets the first call. Right alongside that is First Foxy, driving up from the outside. There is Rakin' in the Box. Coming away in 4th, that is Jack's Brother Joe. Ducking in racing 5, that is JOMARY. 6th is Dasher's Boy. 7th, that is Infirmerator. And 8th, and trailing the field, that is Surf Sam, and Harper can see them all as they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter, and Rakin' in the Box and Dave Hawk once the front end here through an initial quarter of 26 3/5, passing the stands for the first time and heading on down to the half, and Rakin' in the Box and Dave Hawk out of the Jerry Cooch box stable leads it by 3. Into the inside, Blue Clear Sky is tracking him in the garden spot in 2. A gap at 2.5, and 3rd is First Foxy. 4th is Jack's Brother Joe. 5th is JOMARY. 6th on the outside, Infirmerator is underway. 7th, that is Dasher's Boy, and 8th and trailing the field, but a swing to the outside, Surf Sam as they step around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. They're halfway home in 56 2/5. A solid pace up top. Rakin' in the Box off the turn and driving down the backside. On top, Rakin' in the Box leads the way here by a length and a quarter. Along the inside, Blue Clear Sky is right there in the garden spot in 2. First to flush and coming with a rush. Here comes First Foxy. First over the outside, racing in 2nd. Along the rail, racing in 3rd is Blue Clear Sky. 2nd over the outside in 4th is JOMARY. 3rd over the outside in 5 is Infirmerator. As they approach the 3/4 mile mark of the race, 3/4 and 125 flat. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and Rakin' in the Box under a tippy tap of the whip leads it here by 3 parts of a length. First Foxy still there, still coming to him, and now swinging up 3 high from the outside. Here comes Infirmerator off the turn to the left, and an 1/8 of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come. First Foxy strikes the front end. Infirmerator is trying to come to him. Blue Clear Sky and Jack's Brother Joe is flying, but at the wire, First Foxy in front. Top of the mile, 152 2/5. First Foxy to do lifetime mark. Here's the 5, First Foxy at a new lifetime mark, 154 flat. First victory in 2003. A 3-year-old bay gelding by Nobleland Sam out of a Foxy First Lady. She by Abercrombie. Is owned by the White Creek Stable Incorporated of Dublin, Ohio. Trained by Ray Paver. Nicely handled here this evening by wedding driver Sam Chipnoble III. Number 5, First Foxy, new lifetime mark, 154 flat. In the winner's circle to make the trophy presentation to the winning connections of the 5, First Foxy, the general manager of the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association, Mr. Jerry Knappenberger. 5821 is now official. 58 exacta 8820, 582 try, $576.60. Horses are on the track and per to the post for the 4th race. Conditioned pace of 1 mile, a purse of $6,000. Win place show exacta trifecta early. Pick 3 wagering, a field of 10, no changes. The 1 is Mr. McGregor, owned by Winchester Bay Acres Incorporated of Powell, Ohio. Trained by Daryl Hoosier with the K-man, Kane Kauffman. Number 2 is Pinnacle. The lessee is Dorothy Christie of Grove City, Ohio. Trained by Mr. Todd Christie with Kyle Later. Number 3 is SAMSTORM, owned by Sam Noble Jr. of Cedarville, Ohio, who also does the training, Sam Chipnoble III. Number 4 is Meadowland Tough Ted, owned by Hoopler of Pataskla, Ohio, and Metters of Reynoldsburg, Ohio, trained by Mike Metters, Bob Harper. The 5 is Powerhouse SAHBRA, owned by Runyon, Springer, and Cole. They're all of the Buckeye State, trained by J. Doug Lowe with Jeff Fout. The 6 is Falcon X, owned by Jerry Zozo of Columbus, Ohio, and Kathy Ratcliffe of Orient, Ohio, trained and driven by Jim Daly. Number 7 is Noble Senator, owned by Marianne Kauffman of New Albany, Ohio, trained by Danny Collins. Dave Hawk is out. The 8 is Stand for Something, owned by the Ross Stables Limited Liability Company of Rochester, Michigan, trained by Dale Ross. Dale Ross is driving. The 9 is Norman Feeney, owned by Leslie Lane of Ostrander, Ohio, trained by Jim Pollock Jr., Danny Noble, and scoring from off the second tier is number 10, Crown Time Big Ben, owned by Esther Crownover of MacArthur, Ohio, trained by Earl Owens. The Grizz, Greg Grismore in the sulky. That's the field for the 4th race. Kick off the early pick 3. They're in the hands of the starter field in motion. They're all fan pacing, and the first call goes to the 5 Powerhouse SAHBRA, who's driving to the lead. From the inside, Mr. McGregor is coming away in second. Driving up from the outside, there is Falcon X, along with Stand for Something. Coming away racing in 5th, that is SAMSTORM. Caught to the outside there in 6th, that is Crown Time Big Ben. 7th on the inside is Meadowland Tough Ted as they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. A royal scramble for command. Powerhouse SAHBRA on the inside, Falcon X on the outside through an opening quarter of 27 seconds flat, passing the stands for the first time and marching on down to the half, and Falcon X has been set down on the front end tier, and Powerhouse SAHBRA and Fout is not content with a 2-hole and rolls right back to the front end tier. Powerhouse SAHBRA, as they step around the clubhouse turn, is right back to the front. Falcon X is yielding for a garden spot, racing in 2. First over the outside, flushing out there, that is Mr. McGregor. Second over the outside, in 4th is Crown Time Big Ben. 5th on the inside is SAMSTORM as they went the half in 56 and 1/5. Off the turn, and heads are pointed towards 3/4. Powerhouse SAHBRA with the lead here by a length. Mr. McGregor is grinding it out first over the outside in 2. Along the inside, Falcon X is watching over the dueling leaders from 3rd, perfectly positioned. Second over the outside in 4th, that is Crown Time Big Ben, buried at the rail there in 5. As they race through 3/4 is SAMSTORM, and up on the outside, here comes Norman Feeney as they race by 3/4 and 1:24 and 2/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. Powerhouse SAHBRA to the inside. Mr. McGregor still there, still coming to him, awaiting the passing lane. That is Falcon X as they turn to the top of the stretch. Less than an 1/8 of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come, driving through Power Alley. Powerhouse SAHBRA with the lead. Mr. McGregor is still there, still coming to him on the outside as they come to the wire. Meadowland Tough Ted. Mr. McGregor is getting up. Very, very close for second at the top of the mile. 1:53 4/5. Mr. McGregor at 25 to 1 in a trackside of the winner's circle. The unofficial winner of the 4th race. Number 1, Mr. McGregor. A huge mile here, first up on the outside. An 8-year-old big outing by Power Bunny out of a Netherton Princess. She by Plat de Jour. Owned by Winchester Bay Acres Incorporated of Palo, Ohio. Trained by Daryl Hoosier. Nicely handled here this evening by the winning driver, the K-Man, Kane Kauffman. 1542 is now official. 15 exacta, $340.80. 154 try, $1,409.40. Mr. McGregor in 1:53 4/5. Horses are stepping onto the track for this evening's 5th race, the 2nd division of the 3-year-old colt pace, Ohio Sire Stakes. 3rd leg, a pace of 1 mile, a purse of $20,000. Win, play, show, exacta, trifecta wagering, a field of 9, no changes. The 1 is Hootie Figgins, owned by Charles Zune of Danville, Ohio, trained by Doug Ryan with Bob Harper up. The 2 is E-Shopper, owned and trained by Donald Hark Jr. of Hermitage, Pennsylvania. Dallas Miller is at the lines. Number 3 is Dr. Art, owned by the Jeff Miller stable of Haviland, Ohio, and Dorothy Miller of Delphus, Ohio, trained by Jeff Miller, Sam Chipnoble III. Number 4 is Potato Stand, owned and trained by Earl Bowman of Medina, Ohio. Jeff Fount is up. The 5 is Diamond Dart, owned by Bond, Riddenauer, Selhorst, and Klein. They're all of the Buckeye State, trained by Brian Brown with Danny Noble. Number 6 is Rich Art, owned by Thomas Cummins and Greg Grismore, both of Ohio, trained and driven by Greg Grismore. The 7 is All Special KS, owned by Paver of Marysville, Ohio, and Paver of Raymond, Ohio, trained by Joe Paver with Jim Daly. The 8 is Casino Charlie, owned by Ronald and Douglas Breckler of Mount Vernon, Ohio, trained by Scott Mogan Kyle. And for the outside, here he is, the 9, Room and Board, owned by Sheehan, Darby's Edge Stable, Joe Descala Jr., they're Pennsylvania, Ohio, and New York, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr., Dave Hawk is in his sulky. Potato Stand, Diamond Dart, Rich Art, All Special KS, Casino Charlie, Room and Board on the outside. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the outside. There goes Room and Board, just as planned. Middle of the racetrack, there's the 5, Diamond Dart, as they wheel around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. On top, Room and Board leads them here by 2.5. On the outside, giving chase in second, that is Diamond Art. Along the inside, that is Potato Stand. Coming away in fourth, that is Rich Art. Fifth on the inside, Hootie Figgins. Caught to the outside in sixth, that is Dr. Art. Seventh, that is Casino Charlie. Eighth on the inside, that is E Shopper. And ninth and trailing the field, All Special KS. The opening quarter in 26 3/5. Passing the stands for the first time and heading on down to the half. And Room and Board on the front end, just where he likes it, rolling into the wire with 5/8 of a mile remaining. And Room and Board leads it here by a comfortable length and a half. Potato Stand is right there in the garden spot, racing in 2. Rich Art is unhurried in third. Fourth on the inside, that is Diamond Art. Fifth on the inside, that is Dr. Art, as they race by the half. They're halfway home in 56 3/5. A second panel there of 30 seconds flat. Off the turn and setting sail down the backside, and Room and Board on top leads it by a length and a half. Right there in the garden spot, racing in 2, that is Potato Stand. First over on the outside, racing in third, that is Rich Art. Second over the outside in fourth is Diamond Art, and the inside in 5 is Dr. Art. To the outside in 6, Casino Charlie. 7th is Hootie Figgins. 8th to the outside, E Shopper, and 9th and trailing the field, All Special KS. 3/4 and 125 flat. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and Room and Board to the inside. But on the outside, that is Rich Art, and Rich Art has struck the frontier and ready to swing 3 wide for the stretch drive. Diamond Art off the turn to the top of Power Alley. Less than an eighth of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come. Rich Art with the lead. Diamond Art is charging on the outside, but as they roll within the final 16th, Rich Art takes the second division to the 3-year-old colt pace. Ohio Sire Stakes action. Rich Art in 1:53 4/5. Finishing second of the mile was the 5, Diamond Art. It was close for third. Rich Art in a new lifetime mark. Winner's circle. The unofficial winner of the 5th race, the second division of the 3-year-old colt pace, Ohio Sire Stakes action, capturing the third leg in 1:53 4/5 for a new lifetime mark. First over the outside, here's the 6, Rich Art. A 3-year-old bay colt by Perfect Art out of a Rich Slap. She by Slapstick. Is owned by Thomas Cummins and Greg Grismore, both of the Buckeye State. Trained by Greg Grismore. Nicely handled here this evening by the Grizz. Greg Grismore. New lifetime mark, 1:53 4, Rich Art. In the winner's circle to make the trophy presentation, the chairman of the Ohio Standardbred Development Fund Committee, Dr. Schwartz. Rich Art in a new lifetime mark, 1:53 4/5. $654 is now official. 6.5 exact returns, 54.20. 654 try, $313 even. Horses are on the track and part of the pose for the 6th race. Invitational pace of 1 mile. A purse of $10,000. Scratch the 3. Capital Request sick. Leaving us a field of 6 to go postward for the Bacardi 03 Challenge. Challenger this week, Brittany. Number 1 is Moe's Muffler Shop, owned by Reed Racing of Newark, Ohio, and Mona Almond of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, trained and driven by Dean Collins. Number 2 is Confirmed Winner, owned by the Drevo Maria Stables of Yonkers, New York, trained by Jeff Miller. Dave Hawk is up. The 3, Capital Request, is out sick. The 4 is Carolina Rich, owned by John Williams of Cleveland Heights, Ohio, trained by Mark Grismore. The Grizz, Greg Grismore, is up. The 5 is Super Gizmo, Brittany's selection here for the Bacardi 03 Challenge, owned by Blatcher, Presser and Presser, they're all of Ohio, trained by Ron Potter, Danny Noble. The 6 is Come On Morgan, owned by Somers of Pickerington, Ohio, and Churches of New Albany, Ohio, trained by Mike Metters. Jason Brewer is up, and the 7 is Matt Waller, owned by the Darby's Edge Stable, Descala Jr. and Mullinex. They're of Ohio and New York, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr. Bob Harper is in the sulky. That's the field for the 6th race, invitational pace. The scratch of the 3, Capital Request, sick. Field swings to the back stretch. Field in motion for the invitational pace. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the outside. There goes Matt Waller, and Matt Waller crosses right on over to take the lead. Confirmed Winner is coming away, racing in 2. Caught to the outside in 3rd. That is Super Gizmo. Away in 4th is Moe's Muffler Shop. 5th, that is Carolina Rich. In 6th, and trailing the field is Come On Morgan, and Brewer can see them all as they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter with Matt Waller on the front end here by length and 3/4. Confirmed Winner is right there in the garden spot, racing in 2 through the initial quarter in a hot 26 2/5, passing the stands for the first time and heading on down to the half. And Matt Waller on top leads it by 2. Confirmed Winner is doing his best to stick with him in second as they roll under the wire with 5/8 of a mile remaining. Stepping around the clubhouse turn and on over to the half. Matt Waller with the lead here by 2. Confirmed Winner, the garden spot in 2nd. Moe's Muffler Shop is unhurried in 3rd. 4th on the inside is Super Gizmo. 1st over the outside in 5. That is Carolina Rich. 2nd over the outside in 6th is Come On Morgan. They went the half in 55 seconds flat off the turn and setting sail down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4, and Matt Waller has got every call thus far. Leads it by a length and 3/4. To the inside, Confirmed Winner is right there in the garden spot, racing in 2. Along the rail, racing in 3rd. That is Moe's Muffler Shop. 1st over on the outside, racing in 4. That is Carolina Rich. 5th on the inside, Super Gizmo. And 6th, and trailing the field, Come On Morgan. 3/4 and 1:23 flat. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. And Matt Waller has had his way throughout, but now to the outside, Confirmed Winner is coming out of the 2-hole as they turn to the top of Power Alley. Less than 1/8 of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come at the invitational pace. To the inside, Matt Waller with the lead. Confirmed Winner, and Super Gizmo is charging out of the outside, and Super Gizmo is getting up to win it. Super Gizmo, very impressive here. Finishing 2nd of the mile was the 7, Matt Waller. Confirmed Winner was 3rd. 1:51 4/5. Super Gizmo at a new lifetime mark. Pacing home in 1:51 4/5 to establish a new lifetime mark. Here's the 5, Super Gizmo. A 4-year-old brown gelding by Nobleland Sam out of a Super Plus. She by Bruce Gimble. Is owned by Blatchford, Presser and Presser. They're all of the Buckeye State. Trained by Ron Potter. Nicely handled here this evening by wedding driver Danny Noble. Super Gizmo, home at a new lifetime mark, 1:51 4/5. Ladies and gentlemen, the 5-horse Super Gizmo has equaled the track record for 4-year-old pacing geldings. Equaling the track record, number 5 Super Gizmo for 4-year-old pacing geldings. 1:51 4/5. Pick 3, 3 of 3, 165, $850.90. Exacta 57 40 40, 572 185.80. Minutes away. And print of the pose for the 7th race, the 3rd division of the 3-year-old Colt Pace, Ohio Sire Stakes action, 3rd leg, pace of 1 mile, a purse of $20,000. Win Play Show exacted trifecta wagering, a field of 9, no changes. Kathy Hawk brings him out. The one is Stinky-FLYNN, owned by James Cargo of Moore, Ohio, trained and driven by Jack Daly. Number 2 is Laughing as an Art, owned by Gail Potter of Bucyrus, Ohio, trained by John Ackley with Danny Noble. Number 3 is Secret Harbor, owned by Jenny Belcher of Hudson, Ohio, trained by Keith Cash Jr. the Grizz, Greg GRISMORE. Number 4 is Masterpiece, owned by Scott Boer of Sydney, Ohio, and Conrad Boer of Piqua, Ohio, trained by Dan Ader. Kyle Waiters at the lines. Number 5 is Talk Forever, owned by Crouch, Breckler, and Campbell and Mogan. They're all the Buckeye State, trained by Scott Mogan, Dave Hawk. The 6 is Two Bills, owned by William Kale of Eaton, Ohio, trained by Robert Scott. Jim Daly is out. The 7 is Forever in My Dreams, owned by Thomas and Roger Miller of Archbold, Ohio, trained by Mike Roth, Bob Harper. Number 8 is Doc's Best, owned by Ellicott Shaker Motors Incorporated of Beechwood, Ohio, trained by Rick Shout. Jeff Fout is up. And for the outside of the 9 is Passum Sam, owned by the Tabar Stables Incorporated of Chillicothe, Ohio, trained by William Taylor. Sam Chip Noble III is in the sulky. That's the field for the 7th race, the 3rd division of the 3-year-old. Forever, Two Bills for Ever in My Dreams, Doc's Best, and Passum Sam on the outside. A field of 9, swinging to the back stretch. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the inside. There goes Laughing as an Arch. Right alongside there is Stinky-FLYNN. Driving up from the outside there is Forever in My Dreams. Coming away, racing in 4th, that is Secret Harbor. On the inside in 5 is Masterpiece. 6th on the inside, Talk Forever. Dropping in, racing in 7th, that is Passum Sam. Then we come back to the 2 trailers, which are Two Bills and Doc's Best. As they step around the first turn and over to the opening quarter, the initial quarter is going to be reported to in a quick win. 26 3/5, passing on by the stands for the first time and heading on down to the half. And 7-2 here. Forever in My Dreams leads it by a length and a quarter. Stinky-FLYNN is right there, nose to helmet, racing in 2nd. Laughing as an Artist racing in 3rd. First turn on the outside, racing in 4th. Here comes Secret Harbor towing along a Masterpiece. 3rd over on the outside there, that is Talk Forever. Along the inside as they step around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half is Passum Sam. On up top of the field, leading the way, Forever in My Dreams took him to the half, zinged him to the half, and 56 3/5. A second panel there, well rated of 30 seconds flat. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4. And on top of the field, Forever in My Dreams has got every call thus far. Leads it by a length. He's got Secret Harbor right to where he wants him. First over on the outside, racing in 2. Along the inside, Stinky-FLYNN cannot go with him in 3rd. Perfectly placed here. 2nd over the outside in 4th. That is Masterpiece. 3rd over the outside in 5. Talk Forever. 3/4 and 124 2/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. Forever in My Dreams with the lead, but Secret Harbor has won a huge mile here and is still there and going on to the top. Ready to fan up 3 wide. That is Talk Forever. Less than an 1/8 of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come. Secret Harbor with the lead. Talk Forever is coming to him and coming on to the inside. Secret Harbor to the outside. Talk Forever. Dave Hawk's got 4,997 wins. Finishing 2nd of the mile was the 3, Secret Harbor. 3rd was the 4, Masterpiece. Talk Forever in 1:53 2/5 and a new lifetime mark. Trackside of the winner's circle, the winner of the 7th race, 3rd division of the 3-year-old Colt Pace, Ohio Sire Stakes. The 5, Talk Forever, a 3-year-old Bay Colt by Stand Forever out of a Summers Talk. She by Rocky Bogart. Is owned by Crouch, Breckler, and Campbell and Mogan. They're all in the Buckeye State, trained by Scott Mogan. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Dave Hawk. Dave Hawk is approaching a milestone of 5,000 wins. He currently sits at 4,997, the countdown to 5,000. The 5, Talk Forever, at a new lifetime mark, 1:53 2/5. In the winner's circle, making the trophy presentation to the winning connections, the distinguished chairman of the Ohio State Racing Commission, Mr. Luther Heckman. Well, Dave Hawk has got 4,997 career wins as he guides the 5 Talk Forever to the winner's circle, getting a new lifetime mark, 153 and 2 fifths. Number 1 is Henry Clay, Scotch Piney's Budweiser Best Bet of the Night, owned by James Thomas and Peter Allison of Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr., the Grizz, Greg Grismore. Number 2 is Livestream Mendale, owned by Reed Racing of Newark, Ohio, trained and driven by Dean Collins. The 3 is Truly Cam Star, owned by Schmitz Sr. of Pickerington, Ohio, and Schmitz, trained and driven by Jim Daly. The 4 is Magic Dart, owned by Roger Morlock of Valley City, Ohio, trained by Jim Kiesel. Jeff Fout. The 5 is Epps, owned by the Richard Shively Estate of Hamilton, Ohio, trained by Jim Artledge, Bob Harper. The 6 is the Maestro, owned by Carol Gamble of Bradford, Ohio, trained by Steve Livingston, Kyle Waderup. The 7 is Crown Time Connect, owned by Esther Crownover of MacArthur, Ohio, trained by Earl Owings, Danny Noble. The 8 is Luby Bluegrass, owned by Sidney Watkins and Robert Gordon of Dalhart, Texas, trained by David Yoder, Dave Hawk. From the outside of the 9 is the Frenchman, owned by Ida Hardman of Delaware, Ohio, trained by Frenchie Fuller, Dallas Miller. And scoring from off the second tier is number 10, Neutron Jack, owned by Gilmore, Rogers, and Batchy Jr., they're of Ohio and Florida, trained and driven by Ricky Heitman in the sulky. That's the field for the 8th race, conditioned pace. A field of 10 swings to the back stretch, getting set for a start. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the inside. There goes Truly's Cam Star, being joined by Magic Dart. Outside of that, the Maestro is also on the go. Coming away in 4th, that is Henry Clay. Away in 5 is Livestream Mendale. Looking to duck in, racing in 6th, and going off stride is Luby Bluegrass. Now away in 6th, that is Up. 7th on the inside, that is Neutron Jack. 8th on the inside, that is Crown Time Connect. 9th, that is the Frenchman. And 10th, and trailing the field, back down pacing is Luby Bluegrass as they went by the opening quarter in 26 and 3 fifths, and that's mighty fast for these as they roll by the stands for the first time and roll under the wire with 5/8 of a mile remaining. And Truly Cam Star leading the way here. Magic Dart is right there in the garden spot, racing in 2 along the rail, racing 3rd, that is the Maestro. First over the outside, racing in 4th, that is Henry Clay, who's towing along Livestream Mendale. 2nd over the outside in 5. 3rd over in 6th is Epps as they march around the clubhouse, turning at the half in 56 and 4 fifths. And Henry Clay blows right on by to the front end as they march down the backside, going towards 3/4. And Henry Clay on top here looks to be on a mission, opens up by 4 into the inside. Truly Cam Star could not go with him in 2, leaving first over the outside, racing in 3rd, Livestream Mendale as they approach the 3/4 mile mark of the race. And Henry Clay with the lead here, reporting to 3/4 in 124 and 1 fifth. They'll pace the final turn and head for home. And Henry Clay with the lead, but Livestream Mendale is now on the outside, racing in 2nd as Greg Grismore pops out the plugs on Henry Clay. Off the turn to the top of Power Alley, driving through the lane into the inside. Henry Clay with the lead. Livestream Mendale is coming to him and coming on along with Epps in the passing lane. Henry Clay to the inside. Livestream Mendale on the outside inside the final 16th. Henry Clay in front. Livestream Mendale to go 2nd. Epps was 3rd at the top of the mile. 153 flat. Henry Clay and Greg Grismore out of the Virgil Morgan Jr. stable. Well, the official winner of the 8th race, the one Henry Clay, a 4-year-old bay horse by Jake Lobel out of a Kimmy Lynn, she by Log, is owned by James Thomas and Peter Allison of Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr., nicely handled here this evening by winning driver, the Grizz, Greg Grismore. That's 2 wins on this evening's card for the Grizz, giving him a driving double. First win in 2003, home in 153 flat. Number 1, Henry Clay. 1-2 exacta, $25 even. 1-2-5 try, 166.60. The 3-year-old Colt Pace, Ohio Sire Stakes action, 3rd leg. A pace of 1 mile, a purse of $20,000. Win play show exacta trifecta wagering, a field of 8, no changes. Number 1 is Standing Chad, owned by the Ross Stables Limited Liability Company of Rochester, Michigan, trained and driven by Dale Ross. Number 2 is Tricky Tradition, owned by Michael Lowe of West Lafayette, Ohio, trained and driven by Ty Loy. Number 3 is Burton Bobby, owned by Pauline Bryant and Donald Cockerill. They're both of Ohio, trained by Donald Cockerill with Jack Dilly. The 4 is SID-THE-SQUID, owned by Jeffrey Lawton of Jefferson, Ohio, trained by James Perry with Kyle Waiter at the lines. Number 5 is Art Peace, owned by the Darby's Edge Stable, Joe Descala Jr., Ray Hall. They're of Ohio, New York, and New Jersey, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr., Dave Hawk. Number 6 is Arts Candy, owned by Diana Lynn Malone of Waterford, Ohio, trained by Guy Malone with Bob Harper. Number 7 is Scooby Can 2, owned by the FTF Incorporated of Johnstown, Ohio, trained by Ron Potter, Danny Noble. And for the outside of the 8 is Up Front Leader, owned by the Wingfield Brothers. They're all of Ohio, trained and driven by Jim Daly in the Sulky. That's the field for the 9th race, 4th division of the 3-year-old Colt Pace. Ohio Sire Stakes, Standing Chad, Tricky Tradition, Burton Bobby, SID-THE-SQUID, Art Peace, Arts Candy, Scooby Can 2, and Up Front Leader on the outside. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the outside. There goes Scooby Can 2. Driving up from the inside, there is Tricky Tradition. Away in 3rd, that is SID-THE-SQUID. Coming away, racing in 4th, that is Burton Bobby. Dropping in 5 is Art Peace. 6th on the inside, that is Standing Chad. 7th, that is Arts Candy. And 8th and trailing the field, that is Up Front Leader. As they race around the first turn in single file formation on top of the field, Scooby Can 2. And Danny Noble leads it here by a length and a half. To the inside, Tricky Tradition is right there in the garden spot, racing in 2 by the opening quarter and a moderate 28 seconds flat. Passing on by the stands for the first time and heading on down to the half, and Scooby Can 2 leads it here by a length and 3/4. Tricky Tradition is right there in 2. Along the inside, SID-THE-SQUID is racing in 3rd. 4th and unhurried, there is Burton Bobby. First over on the outside in 5, that is Art Peace. Towing along Standing Chad in 6. 7th on the inside, that is Arts Candy. And 8th and trailing the field, but a swing to the outside Up Front Leader. They were halfway home in 57 4 fifths. A second panel at 29 4, and Scooby Can 2 with the lead here. Off the turn and driving down the backside. Heads are pointed towards 3/4 and their long journey begins. And on top of the field, Scooby Can 2 and Danny Noble is very comfortable here, leading it by a length and 3/4. To the inside, Tricky Tradition is doing his best to stick with him in second. First over on the outside and being asked for more, 3 to 5 favorite here. That is Art Peace, 3/4 and 125 2 fifths. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and Scooby Can 2 is on a mission here. Leads it by 3. To the inside, Art Peace is trying to reel him in second. Off the turn to the top of Power Alley, and less than an 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. Scooby Can 2 with the lead. Art Peace is coming to him and coming on inside the final 16. Scooby Can 2 wins the 4th division of the 3-year-old Colt Pace Ohio Sire Stakes action. Finishing second was the 5 Art Peace. 3rd was the 4 SID-THE-SQUID. The top of the mile, 153 2 fifths. Scooby Can 2 in a new lifetime mark out of the Ron Potter stable for driver Danny Noble. Trackside of the winner's circle, the official winner of the 9th race, the 4th division of the 3-year-old Colt Pace Ohio Sire Stakes action, capturing the 3rd leg of Ohio Sire Stakes, is the 7 Scooby Can 2. Home in a new lifetime mark, 153 2 fifths. Scooby Can 2 is a 3-year-old big outing by Matt Candu out of Snap the Trap mares. She by Set the Trap is owned by the FTF Incorporated of Johnstown, Ohio. Nicely trained by Ron Potter. Very nicely driven here this evening by winning driver Danny Noble. For Ron Potter, that's 2 wins on this evening's card, giving him a conditioning double. 2 wins on the card for Danny Noble, giving him a driving double. 153 2, Scooby Can 2, home a winner. In the winner's circle, making the trophy presentation, the administrator of the Ohio Standardbred Development Fund, Mr. Doug Thomas. Late pick 3 and second half of the late daily double Superfecta wagering. Drivers change on the 7 bold item. The driver is Jeff Fout. Jeff Fout drives the 7 bold item in the 12th and final race. Upcoming 10th race, a field of 9, no changes, post time 10:48. Horses are on the track and per to the post for the 10th race. Conditioned pace of 1 mile, a purse of $3,500. Win, place, show, exacta, trifecta, pick 3 wagering. Drivers change on the 7 Docks Hijack. The driver is Greg Grismore. A field of 9. The 1 is Fun Time Go Getter, owned by the FTF Incorporated of Johnstown, Ohio, trained by Ron Potter, Danny Noble. Number 2 is Caviart-Jackson, owned by Judith Chafee and Clarence Chafee Jr. of Vienna, Virginia, trained by Jim Artledge Jr., Dave Hawk. Number 3 is Noble Alex, owned by Jim Chaliff of Cincinnati, Ohio, trained by Rick Heitman at the lines. Number 4 is Powerful Sam, owned by James Grandstaff of Washington Courthouse, Ohio, trained by Dan Ader. Kyle Ader is up. Number 5 is Samarama, owned by Marianne Georges of Wilmington, Ohio, trained by Larry Tench, Jack Daly. The 6 is TC Moonbeam, owned by Paul Edwin Swaney of Xenia, Ohio, trained by Tom Myers, Bob Harper. Number 7 is Doc's Hijack, owned by the Ellicott Shaker Motors Incorporated of Beechwood, Ohio, trained by Rick Shout, Greg Grismore. Number 8 is DS Noble, owned by Ruth Wofford of Peebles, Ohio, trained by David Abbott, Jason Brewer at the lines. And from the outside of the 9 is Sure Smart, owned by the Winchester Bay Acres Incorporated of Powell, Ohio, trained by Daryl Hoosier with a K-man, Kane Kaufman, in the sulky. They're in the hands of the starter to kick off the late pick 3. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing, and the first call goes to the outside. Sure Smart, and the K-Man is pointing this one straight for command. From the inside, there is Fun Time Go Getter. In between horses, that is DS Noble. Coming away, racing in 4th, that is Caviart-Jackson. Away in 5 is Noble Alex. Dropping in, racing in 6th, that is Doc's Hijack. 7th on the inside after a gap of 2.5 there. As they race towards the opening quarter, that is Powerful Sam. And the 2 trailers here are Sam Arama and TC Moonbeam. By the opening quarter, the initial quarter came and went in a wicked 26 2/5 as they pass the stands for the first time and head on down to the half. And Fun Time Go Getter is pressed here, trying to get to the front end by Sure Smart, and the K-Man won't let him go in a little bit of late night hardball here as they step around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. Sure Smart on the inside. Fun Time Go Getter is going an absolute torture chamber mile here. They're halfway home in 55 seconds flat. Off the turn and driving down the backside, heading towards 3/4, and Sure Smart with the lead here by a length. Up on the outside, Fun Time Go Getter is at the leader's wheel disc in 2. Along the inside, watching over these dueling leaders from 3rd is Caviart-Jackson, and now swung up 3 wide of the outside. That is DS Noble. Along the inside, racing in 5, Noble Alex. To the outside, racing in 6. That is Doc's Hijack. Buried at the rail, racing in 7th. Samarama, 3/4 on the board in 1:24 1/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and Sure Smart with the lead here. DS Noble at 50-1 is still right there on the outside in 2nd and ready to swing 3 high from 3rd. Here's Doc's Hijack off the turn to the top of Power Alley. Less than 1/8 of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come. Pacers are coming from everywhere. Into the outside, Doc's Hijack is going on as they come to the wire. Doc's Hijack, and Greg Grismore's got his 3rd winning drive of the night. Finishing 2nd was the 3, Noble Alex. It looked like the 5, Samarama for 3rd. The time of the mile, 1:54 4/5. Doc's Hijack in a new lifetime mark. Here's the 7, Doc's Hijack. A 4-year-old chestnut gelding by Doctor of Style out of a C-Jack. She by Falcon Elmhurst. Is owned by Ellicott Shaker Motors Incorporated of Beechwood, Ohio. Trained by Rick Shout. Nicely handled here this evening by wedding driver Greg Grismore. Home in a new lifetime mark, 1:54 4/5. Doc's Hijack gives Greg Grismore his 3rd wedding drive of the night, giving him a driving triple. The Grizz has 3. $7-3-5-8 is now official. $7-3-5-8 is now official. 7-3 exacta returns 183 even. 7-3-5 try returns $3,367.60. Horses are on the track and printing the pose for the 11th race, claiming handicap pace of 1 mile, a purse of $4,500. Win place show exacta trifecta wagering first half of the late daily double. A field of 8, no changes. The 1 is Miraculous Viking, owned by Carsey of Connorsville, Indiana, and Luther of Gahanna, Ohio, trained by Robert Carsey with Kyle Ader. Number 2 is Noble Strike, owned by Harry Alltop of Urbana, Ohio, Kim Dingledine of Mechanicsburg, Ohio, trained and driven by Jim Daly. Number 3 is Glenview Fretz, owned by Eddie Poing and Daniel Stone of Lebanon, Ohio, trained by Eddie Poing with Dave Hawk. Number 4 is Town Dance, owned by Barnett Zimmerman Limited Liability Company of Deerfield, Illinois, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr., the Red Hot, the Grizz, Greg GRISMORE. Number 5 is Sam's Megabucks, owned by Wallace Osborne of Columbus, Ohio, trained by Mike Metters, Jason Brewer. Number 6 is Star Prospect, owned and trained by David Lowe of Mechanicsburg, Ohio, with Danny Noble. Number 7 is Nick Austin, owned by the Bed Stable of Sunbury, Ohio, trained by Daryl Hoosier with the K-Man, Kane Kauffman. And with the outside of the 8 is Windbreaker, owned by Clarence You Can Call Me Sonny DeLong of Orient, Ohio, trained and driven by Bob Harper, Ian the Sulky. That's the field for the 11th race. Moving in behind the gate, a field of 8 swings to the backstretch. They're in the hands of the starter. To kick off the late daily double, field in motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the outside. There goes Star Prospect. In between horses, that is Town Dance. Up on the inside in third, that is Glenview Fretz. As they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter, and Star Prospect has been placed on the front end here forwardly by Danny Noble. To the inside, Glenview Fretz is yielded for a garden spot, racing in 2. Along the rail, Town Dance has come away, racing in 3rd. 4th on the inside, that is Nick Austin by the opening quarter in 26 and 2/5. And on top of the field, Star Prospect is fired up once again. Leads it here by a length and a quarter. Glenview Fretz is right there, nose to helmet, racing in 2nd, rolling under the wire with 5/8 of a mile remaining. 3rd, that is Town Dance. 4th is Noble Strike. Then we come back to Miraculous Viking. Underway on the outside of there, that is Nick Austin, a ground-saving journey as they race around the clubhouse turn. Sam's Megabucks in 7th and 8th, and trailing the field, Windbreaker. As they race by the half, they're halfway home in a wicked 55 and 4/5. Off the turn and driving down the backside, and Star Prospect and Danny Noble's got him under a huge hold, but he's still going on. To the inside, nose to helmet seriously here in 2nd is Glenview Fretz. First over the rim, racing in 3rd, that is Town Dance. Up on the outside, racing in 4th, that is Sam's Megabucks as they race down the backside. On top of the field, now trying to clear to the front, Town Dance, and Town Dance sticks 3/4 of a length in front through 3/4 in 124 and 4/5. Town Dance with Lee, but now by the outside, a menacing 2nd, Sam's Megabucks, and now ready to swing up 3 wide from 3rd. Here comes Miraculous Viking off the turn to the top of Power Alley in less than 1/8 of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come. On top, Sam's Megabucks has struck the front end here. Glenview Fretz is shook loose and is coming to him along with Miraculous Viking, who is charging hard on the outside. Miraculous Viking is getting up. Glenview Fretz to go 2nd. 3rd of the mile was the 5, Sam's Megabucks, timed at 1:54 and 4/5. Miraculous Viking. Reporting trackside of the winner's circle, the official winner of the 11th race, the 1 Miraculous Viking. A 5-year-old bay gelding by Kentucky Spur out of a Viking Miracle, she by Albatross, is owned by Carsey of Connorsville, Indiana, and Luther of Gahanna, Ohio, trained by Robert Carsley, nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Kyle Wader. 3rd win in 2003, home in 1:54 and 4/5. Number 1 Miraculous Viking. Again, Family Day here at Scioto Downs. Gates open at 11 a.m. on Friday, July 4th for barn tours. First barn tour is departing at 11 a.m. The last barn tour will depart at 11:30. There'll be face painters, pony rides, Getting pretty the post for the 12th and final race. Outrider Kathy Hawk brings them out, claiming handicap pacers of 1 mile, a purse of $3,500. Win, play, show, exacta, trifecta, superfecta, wagering a driver's change on the 7 bold item, Jeff out. The 1 is Hammer and Dan, owned by Ronald Ross of Staffordsville, Kentucky, trained by Jeff Brewer. Jason Brewer is out. The 2 is Gigabyte Bluegrass, owned by Daniel Stone of Lebanon, Ohio, trained by Eddie Pulling, Dave Hawk. The 3 is Bearcat Hanover, owned by Roy Swaney of Spring Valley, Ohio, trained by David Loff with Jim Daly. The 4 is GP's SID, owned by Gail Potter of Bucyrus, Ohio, and Claudia Peters of Delaware, Ohio, trained by Red Hot Ron Potter, Danny Noble. Number 5 is Hurricane Sam, owned by Luther and Livier Dream Stables, both of the Buckeye State, trained by John Robinson, Justin Hall. The 6 is Napoleon SAHBRA, owned by Michael Wetter, Middletown, Ohio, trained and driven by Jack Daly. The 7 is Bold Item, owned by Deb and Jim Shrake of Loudonville, Ohio, trained by Jonathan Wingard, Jeff Fout. And for the outside of the 8 is TYR Bluegrass, owned by Michelle Omer of Galloway, Ohio, trained by Bradley Omer. Bob Harper is in the sulky. That's the field for the 12th and final race, claiming handicap pacers.
Lined up behind the starting gate for tonight's 12th race, the finale. They move on to the backstretch, ready for the start. Field sent on their way in the middle of the track at GP's SID leaving well. On the inside there goes Bearcat Hanover. On the far outside there goes TYR Bluegrass. Horses stacked 3 wide into the first turn. Bearcat Hanover benefits from the inside. Up on the outside GP's SID. TYR Bluegrass looks to duck in 4th. Along the inside racing in 3rd there is Gigabyte Bluegrass. They approach at the opening quarter-mile marker. It's Jim Daly and Bearcat Hanover off the opening quarter. 27-second slide. They move into the stretch for the first time. Bearcat Hanover leading the way, racing in 2nd on the inside. Gigabyte Bluegrass, an early move from TYR Bluegrass. Relegated to 4th is GP's SID, followed by Hammer and Dan. Napoleon SAHBRA moving to the outside. Hurricane Sam. Behind that one comes Bold Item. The clubhouse turn the final time on the outside. TYR Bluegrass being used hard here, has not yet cleared. Along the inside, Bearcat Hanover racing along the inside. They come to the half-mile marker. Bearcat Hanover regains a slim lead off the half in 56-2. They curve into the backstretch. Bearcat Hanover still duking it out with TYR Bluegrass. Gigabyte Bluegrass racing in 3rd. Along the inside comes GP's SID. Moving to the outside as they approach the 3/4-mile marker is Hammer and Dan. Along the inside, Napoleon SAHBRA. The paces are bunching, approaching the 3/4-mile marker. It's still Bearcat Hanover leading the way. TYR Bluegrass still on the outside is 2nd. Along the inside, Gigabyte Bluegrass is 3rd. 3/4, 1:26-2 into the far turn. Jim Daly steps on the gas with Bearcat Hanover. He opens up a 1.5 lead, but Gigabyte Bluegrass looms the danger in the pocket. Along the inside, GP's SID will need racing room. Top of the stretch, Bearcat Hanover sets sail for home on a 2-length lead. Gigabyte Bluegrass been tracking that one since the beginning of 2nd. On the outside, GP's SID is 3rd. In deep stretch, Bearcat Hanover, Gigabyte Bluegrass, but it's it, and that's that. Bearcat Hanover wins it. Gigabyte Bluegrass was 2nd. GP's SID was 3rd. Might have been Napoleon SAHBRA 4th. 1:55 4/5.
Trackside of the winner's circle, the official winner of the 12th race, the 3 Bearcat Hanover, an 8-year-old bay gelding by Albatross out of a Behave Hanover. She by Tyler B. is owned by Roy Swaney of Spring Valley, Ohio, trained by David Hoff, with nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Jim Daly. Home winner at 1:55 4. The 3 Bearcat Hanover takes the finale.